That's the fireproof safe. I think he's left.
This will be a weird conversation, but I have no doubt it's going to be a very interesting conversation in sort of a multitude of ways. So, um, we probably will touch upon movies at some point, but for the most, this isn't a movie-related podcast. So, introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Neil Johnson. I'm a director. I've directed 15 feature films, about 20 plus TV shows, 500 music videos. I pretty much just do science fiction because I love it. And I don't have a day job. Well, I mean, this is my day job, shall we say, so I don't have any other job to do. And my films are getting bigger and bigger and better and better, and they're quite epic until now.
They are. I think your films are still epic. They definitely are.
Well, I say this. You know, we're 90% finished shooting two. I would say they were started as films in our television television seasons. So we're 90% finished season 1 of The Time War, which is a massively big time travel epic TV series. Adolf Hitler traveling through time, rewriting history, and then it's about his daughter actually trying to stop him from doing it. It's kind of a little bit like Man in the Iron Castle meets I don't know, some Lord of the Rings. Let's just say it's much more action based than that, and it's a time war. So there's a lot of war going on. So it's something. It's quite a serious film, and that's part of this curse. And it's a cursed film, I feel.
And it is an epic film. You used the word epic before. It's definitely an epic from what you've told me about it, because it was, a couple of months ago, we were sitting hanging out together. We'd done Sci-Fi Wales, which was fun. And then probably like a couple of weeks after that, you were flying a drone in a cemetery, and your drone got waterlogged, and then the day after the drone got fixed, and you got some wonderful overhead footage, and freaked a couple of my neighbours out, which is always fun, and stuff like that. So it was good. And you were travelling here, there, and everywhere, a bit of Scotland, a bit of England, and then you went back to the US, and we swapped a whole bunch of tweets. So it's great. I do miss hanging out with you. So where are you sitting now at this moment in time? I mean, the date is what? So 14th of November. So we've got like 6 weeks till the end of the year, effectively. So where are you now, Neil?
Right now, I'm sitting in a place called Agora Hills, which is the back of Malibu. Now, for those who know, watching the news, they had the fires ripped through. Well, originally they're ripping through the back of Malibu, which is Agora Hills, and then they basically we were actually in the middle of shooting Age of Darkness, which is another television series I'm doing, which is my other epic sci-fi series, starring the fabulous Tracy Birdsall. Mm-hmm. And we were actually preparing for that. And the fires were coming, the big wildfires, specifically the Woolsey fire, as it's called. And so we drove across and picked up Tracy's 2 daughters and the dog, and we threw them in. We grabbed a bunch of their stuff and got them into the truck and the vehicles, and we drove across to Malibu, thinking, okay, Tracy's got a house there. Thinking this would be the safe place because that was the only place you could go. We were being evacuated. Yeah. So we went that direction, and everyone slept. Well, I remember it's Tracy's house, but I ended up, we were all sort of crashing there. Let's just say it was kind of weird because, everyone was a bit on edge because the fires were somewhere. And anyway, I was actually in the middle of building a robot there as well for the film and building sets. With all the equipment and pretty much everything I owned was there. A few things not, and then all of Tracy's stuff obviously was in the house. And then we heard the fires were coming, so we got Tracy's daughters. We sent them up to to Ventura, where Tracy's father lives.
Yeah.
And we were sort of there. It was like, we can't really do any film prep right now because it feels, it's a little bit dangerous, but we know the fires are nearby. But let's go have a look, because I've got cameras and stuff. So I left the good camera and all the good gear at Tracy's house, and the robot, of course. And then we got in the car, drove to where the fires were, started shooting it with a little tiny camera that I have. And all of a sudden, right in the middle of it, the fires turned around. So the police were yelling, "Get out!" Because we were with all the news crews and stuff. Because I always have to film fire when it happens. It's exciting.
Well,
suddenly the fires turned around.
You're making science fiction films and stuff. I would think it's very expensive to replicate fire, isn't it, for your film? So I'm guessing it's like, I'll get some stock footage and maybe use it at some point.
Yeah, well, it's post-apocalyptic films too. So it's, and I mean, what are you going to do? Sit on your butt and twiddle your thumbs, or go shoot the fire? I mean, it's what I do. So we were shooting, and now I don't know if anyone's seen that. Have you seen there's some footage online of this lady in a car who's praying and driving through the fires and the driving?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were on the other side of that tunnel, and we actually saw her just before we ran from the fire. She drove through. We actually saw her drive through. We didn't know at that time it was her. It's like, wow, how did she get through that? Because there was fires right over the road, over the road. She drove through it and came out to the sunshine. So those tunnels, we were literally on the other side of that tunnel, and she came out. It's like, wow, and she just kept driving, and it was like, whoa. I know, because there's people moving their horses. So that's kind of why you're there. And the police were yelling, "Just get out!" The police ran. We ran, and we just kept running because, the fires were coming over the mountain. So we just got down to the PCH, which is the main highway in Malibu. It's the one that's on the beach you see in all the movies.
Yeah.
We got to the PCH, and then we drove north towards Ventura, through another evacuation. I mean, there was fire everywhere, all on the highway and everything, but it's okay. We were safe. Looked back, and there was a massive cloud, and we end up sleeping at Tracy's father's house then, everyone, all, on couches and floors and stuff. And he was very kind. And then Tracy was really worried. So we figured we'd drive back up through, up the 101, which was closed. Couldn't get through that. I figured out there was I went through the back streets because the fire, we were back to Agora Hills, which is where we started. The fire had completely, and there was horses everywhere, by the way, and they rescued them, thank God. The fire completely burned the mountain next to Tracy's daughter's apartment. I mean, it's black. And it's it's just amazing, but horrible. And you can't breathe. And I would say you can't breathe. It's really bad. And so then we thought, well, we know the back way into Malibu, so let's try that, because the police were disorientated. The fire brigade people had been fighting for 48 hours and falling asleep on the job almost. So we got back in looking for a house. Literally, I think the only people on this road, we drove up Canaan Road, which is a famous road, access into Malibu, power lines all over the road everywhere. Yes, I have footage. As we drove in, got to where Tracy's house was, power lines and power poles over the road. I have a truck. I drove over that, scraped through a few things, got to her house, and her house was gone. And it was completely flattened. There was nothing left. And I mean, it was the weirdest thing. This a day before, it was a beautiful house with all the stuff. The fire had hit it so badly that you couldn't even, there's no refrigerator, for example. She had a giant refrigerator. I had a giant robot in the garage, for example, made of steel. It was so much heat, it had melted. There was nothing left. And I mean, you could see the photos on my Facebook or my Instagram, director Neil Johnson. When I say that there was nothing, there was just nothing. And this is the house we'd shot Rogue Warrior in, the Time War, Evolution War had been shot there. And it's a famous movie house, and it's a famous personal house for Tracy. But it's her home for 16 years.
I mean, I was looking at some of the shots that Tracy had shared, and it effectively, all I can remember from it is there's a little wall left there, and then there's like a door frame. And other than that, I can't even imagine. I mean, now you've mentioned that Rogue Warrior and whatnot was shot there. I can go back and look at it and see what the house looked like beforehand. But looking at the pictures afterwards, I can't even imagine what the house looked like beforehand. And usually if you see like a destroyed cottage or something, certainly you see a lot of these in the UK, don't you? You can look at them and go, there's no windows, there's no door, the roof's got holes in it, but I can still see the house there. I can't see any house on the pictures that yourself and Tracy had shared. There is no house there at all, is there?
There was a 3-story house, and I can't figure out where it all went.
No.
The heat must have been so intense, and she had these big, giant, high voltage ceilings, and the heat must have been so intense it's melted everything. And that's what shocks me the most. It's not like, there's still a bit left here, a bit left there, or look, we found this or that. There's ovens, refrigerators, giant doors, antique furniture going back to the 1700s, that she collected over the years. And by the way, Tracy isn't rich, just so you know. She was barely holding on to, anything she had. There's just nothing. Plus my Red camera, lenses, robots, sound equipment. I mean, it goes on and on. Costumes, props, blah 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 blah. We're in the middle of shooting, and I had a fireproof safe in her garage. That is, the garage doors are left for some reason. We looked in. It's just not. It's a blob. There's nothing there.
So even the fireproof safe has gone.
It's melted. There must have been fire explosions in there, and I mean, the whole thing. Toilets, for example, plumbing systems. This is nothing, and it's so weird. Now here's what happened. The neighbor. Corbin, who's a really nice guy, 2 doors up, he was there, and he was hosing down his house, to try to stop the fires from hitting his house, because we all would rather protect the house, let's be honest. And then he went to hose. He saw a small fire started on our house. Well, our house, Tracy's house, sorry. And he's a really nice guy. So the hose was still there, by the way. So he stretched the hose out, was going to hose the house down. And then the city of Malibu cut the water off.
Oh God!
Now, why they would cut the water in a fire is really strange. But apparently, they were diverting water to this. What would you call it? It's a wealthy person's Christian university called Pepperdine. Right. Because. Even though they actually don't pay rates to the Malibu City Council, somehow they had the right to steal the water from everybody. And a lot of people lost houses because they somehow had the right to divert the water, which is kind of stupid. So there's a lot of people who've lost their houses because of this, this little stupid political bullshit. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
Do you know what the stuff you're going through? I think you're okay if you let out a curse word or 10. I think it's well earned. Isn't it?
Yeah, but and so
just think. I mean that. Do you think the holes would have? I mean, obviously, it's better to have a wet house than not a wet house. But looking at the damage, do you think the water could have saved the house, or is it one of those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I believe it could have, and I'll tell you why. Because it was a very tiny fire to start with, and he said he could have put it out, and he protected his house. Yeah. Because his house was first in the line of fire, and you see the aerial shots of it. You can see where the fire went through, and the guy further across from Tracy's house, he's a lawyer. He was out of town, and that poor guy, hasn't even got in yet. And so, he's actually a property lawyer, and he's lost everything. They didn't even have a chance to run in. Actually, neither did we, but we already had some stuff in the truck. So he had, he didn't even get a chance to. He hasn't even seen his house yet, and he was out of town on a business trip with his wife and 3 children. So it's just, it's terrible. It's just one of those things. And I've got two films or TV series, big ones, like Game of Thrones type epic TV shows that are 90% shot. I've lost a bit of footage, not much, camera gear, everything. I mean, and it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And I did have backups for most of the footage, thank God. But the active footage and the main equipment burnt up, like it's liquid. So
it's got to be a whole bunch of mixed emotions at the minute, and I'm going through them as well, because on one hand, the house is gone, which is fucking awful, but then when you mentioned you'd rescued a lot of the footage for your films, I'm thinking, thank God for that. So it's weird, isn't it? It's like a whole bunch of different things, and I can't imagine what Tracy's going through and what you're going through, and Tracy's daughters are going through. It must be. Are you still in the sort of shock phase? I think you probably would be. I think, but
yeah, I for sure, 100%, and that's okay. It's slowly come to terms with it all. But here's the thing. People say, immediately people say, oh, you have insurance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I know I have no insurance.
I mean, that was one of the questions. I was talking to Annette about it, and she's got a couple of questions, and I will ask you them. And they're genuine questions, so none of them are snarky or whatever. One of them was the insurance for the houses. Because, I mean, over here in the UK, we can insure houses, this, that, and the other. But there is a clause, the act of God clause. So if the Almighty decides to drop a whirlwind on your house or there's a flood, then insurance companies in the UK go, oh, act of God, sorry, not having anything. Does that sort of rule apply in the US? Or, I mean, what is the sort of insurance thing on properties in the US?
Well, I know for a fact... Well, not for a fact. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say this. I'm pretty sure, from what I'm aware, for Tracy, she's heavily underinsured. Right. So, she's the contents alone were probably worth, so a lot of money. She's really, really let's just say underinsured, to the point where she's lost everything. You can't rebuild on a piece of land when you don't have enough money to build a house, as an example. So it's not as glamorous as people think. You think, oh, you live in Malibu, blah blah blah. It's number one, it's a really expensive town to live in. The money you pay to the local government is, the rates you pay are horrendously high. Number two, she's not wealthy. I'm not wealthy. You're barely scraping together to pay off mortgages or whatever, barely. And number three, as I said, you've a lifetime of memories and contents, and money doesn't help. It's just one of those situations. It's going to be a long time to get the money anyway. And so right now we're both in an evacuation zone without anything, and government assistance is slow to come. And the Red Cross has been great, been getting food from them and replacement clothing, and when you say that, I mean a couple of jackets and some old shoes and stuff. But it's okay, but it doesn't replace anything. It doesn't put you back on track. I've got my computers that were there, and I've got to replace my computers now. Thankfully, Marilyn Gigliotti, who was in my a few of my films, let me send you an old 17-inch laptop. So his name's Dave Witt. And he was just
That's
nice enough to say, I've got a spare laptop. I said, it's that sort of stuff. So people have been really nice helping us out.
Well, I know that sort of a lot of the news. We are getting a lot of news coverage over here. I learned that there was a thing called a fire tornado. I didn't even know that was a real thing. And I remember speaking to you on Twitter about it, going, I've just learned this thing exists, and I've seen video footage of it. It's insane. It looks like something out of one of your films, but these are real things. And so we're getting a lot of coverage. Scott Derrickson, the director of Doctor Strange, has lost his house, and Jared Butler and Miley Cyrus, and we are getting a lot of coverage. And I've heard people in my workplace who are generally talking about the fires, going, "Oh, these movie stars, and they've lost their house, and I bet they're well mad." They've probably got about 5 houses anyway, and there is a lot of that presume because people live in Hollywood, California, Malibu, that they are all Charlie Sheen from 2.5 Men, and they open their drawers in the morning and money falls out, and it's
wouldn't that be nice?
we all wish that was the case, and there probably are people like that, but that's not the majority of the population who were evacuating on the PCH and who were driving through tunnels, and yourself and Tracy, and you are people that live in an area because you need to live in that area for the work, I'm presuming, is the main sort of reason for that, and the views are fantastic, but you pay the high rates, and so it isn't all truckloads of money and multiple houses, is it?
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be great.
Yeah. No, you see, it's funny in the Red Cross Center where we were, where people are sleeping on the cots there was a lot of people from Malibu there. Now, again, these are a lot of people in Malibu have lived there all their life, and country folk, let's just say. They live in the mountains and stuff. So it's not all just wealthy people on the beach. That's probably about 10% of the people. The rest of Malibu is good country folk who've lived there since their families were there, and they're and that's what the real Malibu is. It's not just wealthy people and actors, but there is a lot of those those types. It's either old surfers, old horse people, a lot of horse people, or farmers, and when I say farmers, ranch owners, and few famous actors, and it's one or the other, and they're all really nice people. And the people who've really suffered are the people who aren't the wealthy ones. People like Tracy, for example.
It's the ones who aren't talked about much on the news. Certainly over here in the UK. The ones we don't know about are the ones who are suffering more.
Exactly. So and that's the truth of the matter. So it's the insurance. Yeah, maybe in a couple of years, but in the meantime, how do you survive? Where do you sleep? Who pays for the food? How do you conduct business? How do you even get online on a computer? Unless you got a friend like I have. How do you do anything? So a lot of people lost cars.
So those are all good questions. And where do you start? I mean, where do you start? Where does Tracy start?
I'm desperately trying to get borrow a camera from someone, to finish up the shooting. We're hoping to scrape a little bit of money. Right now, I've got a campaign. I mean, I posted these photos on Facebook. When I was chatting with you, about the fire tornadoes, and then this came up, said, "Do you want to start a donation campaign or something?" I said, "No." It's like, what? Why would I want to do that? It's weird. And then it's like all of a sudden, I looked again. I thought, oh, and I realized, oh wow, all my cash was in Tracy's house in that safe. I've got about $50 in the bank. I guess I better start doing something. Yeah. I mean, seriously, this is how bad it got. So I started this little campaign on Facebook to try to, get people to donate. And it's only because it's like, it's there's no other choice. And I mean, it's like Tracy was the same. It's like, and the people are being kind of rude to us. It's like, oh, you're just wealthy Hollywood people, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we got nothing. Even the government money, that the emergency money, the $500 they will hand out, it won't come for a week. We're up begging for food. It's weird, but what do? You've got no money for gas to go to the Red Cross Center to get the food. It's kind of crazy. We've got no clothes to wear. We stink. And the Red Cross has been really good to us. So that's why I've done that. Tracy's done it because we're completely screwed, and I mean completely. But I just start talking to people. As I said, somebody donates a laptop. Hopefully somebody will say, you can use my camera for a week. I've got 5 days of shooting left to go. We've got to find locations, got to figure out costumes, props. We'll make it do. Because the thing is, we're bored. We can't do anything. So we may as well shoot and pick up what we've lost and just keep moving. So we're going to shoot the last, I'm guessing we've got about a week and a half's worth of shooting to make up the footage we lost. Plus the couple of days where we're going to shoot. So that's okay. And then I'll figure out what to do about computers. That's the next step. And that's okay, because eventually but the nice thing is, the strange thing is, Stuart, and I'll tell you this, there's people in Los Angeles and stuff, and who I've employed for many years, a few years, and given them jobs. In particular, one guy, I gave him the last pennies I had once because he needed the money, and I just said, okay, here, I know I've got a check coming in a week. Just take my last $300. Gave him some work, because you never give money away for free and stuff. And it's funny, those people just disappear. And then people you barely know, or people who really don't have a lot to give, especially if, people in Australia, in Germany, in Bulgaria, have all been sending me bits of money, and family members in Australia. It's been wonderful. And dear friends from New York, people like Linda, a dear friend I've known for 20 years, Linda Legg, sent me some money. Guido, there's a famous photographer called Guido Karp, and he's very famous in, shooting all these famous bands and stuff. And he has a network of people. He's a major photographer. Like, he's one of the top in the world. He's got all these people who just love him and adore him, and he's just put it out to his people, said, look, hey, this guy's in trouble. All his German friends and, photographer friends have all chipped in money, because I understand what it's like to be without cameras. Yeah. So, it just goes on and on and on. There's so many nice people. Brooke Lewis has been nice. Marilyn Gigliotti helped hook me up with the computer, that sort of stuff. So it's nice to see who the good people are and the bad people are. And
exactly. And the good people, you will make new friends, because good people, you go, I didn't know you before, but you've been really nice, so therefore I will now know who you are. And the ones who sort of run away and you don't hear from, you've got to remember those as well, I think. And I don't think so. Them. I mean, obviously, don't make voodoo dolls out of them or anything. But you go, you know what? You weren't there when I needed you, so I might not be there when you need me next time.
Well, I was talking to Tracy about that, and she said, "Look, people assume you're wealthy. People assume you have insurance and money, so they don't offer to help, and." They may assume wrong, but I think that's what some people think, and that's okay. I don't fault anybody for that, and I don't, people give me like $5, $6 here and there, and it means a lot, because when you haven't got anything, it's like, oh, this is great, and you suddenly add it all up, and suddenly you've got, hopefully, I won't, we're talking I'm probably down. I'm guessing 50 to 100,000. Tracy's down.
A lot more because of the actual bricks and mortar. Or whatever.
Yeah, I'd say she's lost $4 million.
God. See, I can't even imagine what it's like to be down that much, because I've never been up that much. But yeah.
Yeah, but she was, but then she needed money to help manage it. At the end of the day, we just have what we have on that. We come the way we leave the world. You still got to pay. You still got to be able to just eat. You still got to put clothes on your body. You still got to brush your teeth, and we're struggling to do that right now. But give us a few days. Here's another example. Where Tracy's daughters are living. We're just this lady saw me at the gas station, all distraught earlier on and covered in dirt and stuff. And she ran into me and said, "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "We lost everything." And she said, "Well, I'm moving out right now, and we've got a spare refrigerator, and a big one." And I said to Tracy, "Do you think you want a refrigerator?" She said, "Yes." So they gave us they gave Tracy a free refrigerator. I was just the meat in the sandwich, but they gave her a free refrigerator, and it's really sweet. And we throw it in Tracy's daughter's garage until Tracy finds somewhere to live, And as I said, I just, I say we, us. Tracy's really lost everything. I've got nothing to complain about. She ain't doing so good, but I'm trying to keep her occupied with, everything. So you look after the good people, you hold on to the good people in these times, and you don't despise the people who've spit upon you. You just try not to think about them.
Yeah, exactly. You devote the time and positive energy to those that deserve it, I think. And those who maybe don't, you go, I'm not going to think about you because I'm focusing on this nice person. That's generally the way I think about things like that. So I don't spend my time going, I don't like you, you're horrible. But I will spend my time focusing on people that maybe need help or who deserve it. So it is very scary. I mean, I did a podcast on Sunday with Bob, and generally, as you know, our podcasts are, so what have you watched, and what TV shows, and we did sort of tangent into that. Weirdly enough, Bob hadn't watched anything yet again, but we did chat a little bit about the fires over there, and it is weird because throughout decades we watch things on the news. You watch things on the news, and you go, wow, that looks pretty terrible. Oh, that looks horrible. Imagine what it was like if that happened over here. And then your brain kind of moves on. But to sort of watch all the footage of the fires, knowing that you guys, some of it was in your backyard and you were involved in it, and you were messaging me saying, I'm evacuating, but I'm okay. And I remember telling you, going, don't be doing dangerous stuff, because I know that you'd be right in the middle of it with a camera and stuff. It does put a whole new perspective on it. And it's weird. It's not good.
Yeah, it's true. It is. Often you become the news in life. It's not the first time I've been news. I've been in the news for something. So, but it's okay. It just the big lesson I have for everybody is back up your data. All your photos, all your footage, or whatever it is, it's most important to you on the computer. Back it up. Whatever else that is, back it up. I have a very tiny little storage shed in Agora Hills as well, back of Malibu, and thank God that place didn't burn up, because I had the last of my father's belongings stored in there, and all my backup hard drives were there. It's not very big, but that's where everything was. And I thought that was the one place that didn't get hit as well. And I was so thankful, So you just back everything up. Do not store it on site. Make sure your backups are elsewhere. And that little bit of wisdom has actually saved my ass. I mean, who expects a giant firestorm to burn over a few mountains to the ocean? And that's what it did.
Well, I was somebody at my workplace, because people do. You talk about what you've seen on the news. That's kind of one of the points of the news, isn't it? So you will discuss things that you've seen, and they were saying, I don't get why the firemen couldn't put it out, and they weren't being horrible. They just genuinely didn't understand how big a scale this fire was. I mean, there's a fire map that I look at online, and I think yesterday was 671 active fires in the sort of the western seaboard. And you think, none of them are going to be really tiny fires. They're going to be big fires. And then you add in wind, and then you add in, as you'd mentioned, which I didn't know about, switching off the water supplies. A lot of it's in sort of mountain type areas and stuff. And you think it's not just a case of, because over here the firemen drive around in big red trucks, pull up, plug it into a fire hydrant, fire a holes in it, and woof, that was close. That shed nearly burned down. It's very different. As you know, the UK sort of landscape is very different from the US. So it wasn't just a case of, the firemen. I think they're doing one hell of a job battling it. They've been doing it for days. Apparently, it's going to be at least a month before they maybe get it under control, which is a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of area to burn. See, and that's the problem is the mountains. So when you watch TV shows like Planet of the Apes or movies, Logan's Run, the TV series, MASH, Westworld, and you see that dry mountainous stuff. Well, that's always Malibu, and it's notoriously dry, and I mean arid, and the grass looked so dry that it was brown. It was just ready to go up. Anything would have set it off. So it's like the worst time you could have had, a little fire start, because it's just going to explode across the landscape, and that it's just one of those situations that's just waiting to happen, shall we say, in some ways, because that's the type of landscape it is. It's just very arid. $6 Million Man was always shot here, as an example. Yeah. So like those Bigfoot episodes, I knew exactly where that was shot.
That was my favorite $6 Million Man episode. That one. Yep.
I know, and I knew, and that one's gone up, that spot's gone up in flames. I know that for a fact. Those trees are gone. Well, the MASH thing, I actually went to the MASH site a few months back.
You did?
I walked down there, and I sent you the footage.
Yeah.
That's gone. That's toasted.
Well, I messaged Bob, I think the day that you told me about the MASH site, and I messaged him, and he's not seen the footage yet, because there was a lot of footage that you shot for me in lots of short clips, and I thought, I'm going to join them all together, and Bob can watch the full version. Yeah. So he's not seen that yet. He knows I've got the footage and he really wants to watch it. But I'd messaged him saying, I've just found out the MASH set has gone. And it's I mean, there's houses gone and, architecture and all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of history gone as well. I mean, Paramount Ranch, that's gone as well, I believe, where a lot of stuff was also filmed over the years. So it's
well, it needed a bit of a refurbish anyway. I'll be honest with you.
All right, maybe not to the extreme that it's got, but
no, exactly. But that was just waiting to go up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was so much dead wood around there. It wasn't funny. And it's more so not the physical structures, but the history of the location. That really, really hurts. And I mean, I've had nightmares about Tracy's house burning because I've shot so many things in there, and I get more upset. Some strange reason, I get very upset when I think about the house. The inside of the house just burning and just fireballing and just completely collapsing on itself. It's so painful because you've spent so much time there shooting and working and eating there and living there, and it's horrific. I mean, it's absolutely painful.
Do you think it'll be a while before you watch, like Rogue Warrior or other stuff that you've shot there, and that will seem strange, because then you'll see the house again that isn't there anymore, isn't it?
I know. I haven't even thought of that. I mean,
obviously your priority is not like, let me just dig out a Blu-ray of Rogue Warrior and watch that. But at some point you will end up seeing it on film again.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that'll be pretty emotional, I would have thought.
I think it will. But see, the worst thing is I've got footage from the Time War and also Age of Darkness, the series, or Evolution War, Age of Darkness / Evolution War. We also shot a little bit in there as well. So it's kind of, it was like, it's kind of bittersweet, So yeah, I'm gonna have to sit there and edit the footage. It's going to be hard.
That will be hard.
It's going to be difficult.
I think just expect it to be hard. I think it's not going to be easy watching that. It's going to be weird for me watching Rogue Warrior again, knowing that the house isn't there, and I've never been in the house, but knowing that it was a house and it was Tracy's house, it's not there anymore. For me, that's going to be weird, but for you and Tracy, it will be.
Yeah.
Sort of.
But at least we have that. It's like when my father died. At least I have photos of him and footage of him.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it, but at least it's there, and it
No,
makes me happy.
I was watching your father on the Lightning in a Bottle
Oh yeah.
documentary. I've seen that a couple of times this year, and he's on there. And it's for me,
Yeah.
it was strange watching him there, knowing he'd passed away. And for you, and I can imagine it's obviously comforting because there's this footage, but also upsetting. So where do you start?
Exactly.
I mean, Annette did ask. This is one of the other questions Annette had, and obviously it's still early days. But would you both stay in the same area, or would you go? Do you know what? This is kind of a dangerous part of the US, so I'm going to relocate. Because that was a conversation we were having. We're going, you know what? If that was us, we would probably get the hell out. But we're not over there, so.
I don't know. That's again something I can't think about. You could move to, for example, I could move to Burbank, which once had fires, a few times. I could move somewhere else, and that could have fires too. Or,
that's true, yeah.
It's all dangerous, all equally dangerous. No thoughts on that. I mean.
You could effectively, live in your bedroom because you don't want to go outside and your roof could fall on you. So, yeah, definitely. Exactly. You can't avoid natural events, I guess, can you?
No. I mean, what I've learned in life is I'm happy anywhere. I lived in England for a time and I loved it and I miss it terribly. I've lived in Australia. I lived on the Gold Coast in Australia, and I actually really loved that too. Not all of Australia, but that place I loved.
Yeah.
Living in Bulgaria, it's okay. No, it's a fine place. It's just not. I don't speak the language, so it's difficult for me. I lived in Germany, and that was quite nice. Very nice. I have very nice people in Germany. So it's kind of home is where you make it, and it's where your computers are. For me, it's where your computers are.
Where your cameras are.
So as soon as I get, yeah, exactly. So we've got to, I don't know, figure that one out. It's one step at a time, and it may sound really weird, but all I'm thinking about is the movies right now because it's all I have. And it's everything.
That's your tools of the trade, though, isn't it? If you were a musician, you would be thinking about, I need a guitar. Or if you were an artist, you go, I need a pencil and some paper. For you, your tools, your survival tools are your cameras and your editing suite, aren't they? So
exactly.
If you have those tools,
that's why
you can make something. If you can make something, you can make some money. If you can make some money, you can start rebuilding.
Exactly. And I mean, that's why all these photographers have kicked in and helped out because they understand. They know what it's like to lose your lenses, because you spend like Stanley Kubrick. When you go to the Stanley Kubrick exhibit, here's Stanley Kubrick's lenses, and some people who make movies go, oh, those lenses, man, that's what I would do. And why lenses are so important to you is it's the thing between the what you shoot and the camera body is the glass, and the glass is what translates the image into poetry, into art. It's the glass that the texture and the quality of the glass is what makes the movie have a character, and that's the secret. For people like myself. It's all about the glass. It's all about the what goes through you. The glass makes the actors look amazing or terrible. The glass gives every scene texture and emotion. How you shoot something gives it the emotion. It helps the actor, be as honest as they can. So there's the glass has witnessed the lenses have witnessed great moments on film, and that's something mystical about that. So I'm. It's weird to be sad about physical stuff, but it's what it does for you. And the same with the Red camera. The Red camera I adored because it was the right camera for me. It's the right camera for making science fiction films, and that thing has been with me in the desert, in so many movies. It's been with me in 52 degrees Celsius, 134 degree Fahrenheit heat, and it's never gone wrong, never broke down on me.
Yeah.
So it's a workhorse, but it's you feel for the gear, and it's one of those things. I'm just waiting to. It'll be a day at a time, but the film will get finished, it'll get released, or if anyone out there wants to help, and even if you've got no money, that's okay. If you go to Neil Brooke Johnson, or Director Neil Johnson like page, either of the two, you'll find my little campaign. And if you got $1, that's fine. If you got nothing, that's fine. If you just retweet, reshare it on Facebook, that's okay. If you just join the conversation, that's okay. So it builds up awareness. And it's not. I feel horrible begging. I really do. But so many of the people who've given, I realize that these are people I've helped out. There's somebody I helped out, or there's somebody I was nice to once, or So it's okay, because I feel I didn't realize how many people I'd been nice to, I'd helped over the years, until they suddenly go and say, oh well, you've helped me with this and you've helped me with that. Let me help you now. It's like, oh, okay. I always wondered, I was always the guy helping and nobody would ever give back. And so all of a sudden there's some people out there giving back, and it's really nice.
Well, it's like, the majority of people listening to this podcast will be regular listeners anyway. So if you didn't manage to write down Neil's address or whatever, message me, either Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and I'll pass the link on to you. So that's an easy fix on that one.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody that listens to these shows and who will listen to them, movie fans. Generally, most people in the world are movie fans anyway. Movies are great and we love them, and we spend like an hour and a half watching them, and some of them we like, some of them we don't, and some people run around saying how great they are, and some people like to run around saying, oh no, it's terrible, and no, blah blah blah. But we all love movies, but it takes us an hour and a half to watch them. It takes you, for an average filmmaker, Neil, and by average I mean, you don't spend 100 times longer than maybe other filmmakers. So how long would it take you to make a film? So say you had an idea now, going, do you know what, I'm going to do a film about a podcast or something. How long would it be on average till that film came out in our homes?
Depends on the type of film and the VFX. The minimum would be 6 months. Usually, though, for a decent Neil Johnson film, we're looking at about a year and a quarter, year and a half, up to 2 years.
Yeah. So let's be really.
And that's full time.
That is full time. So let's be really kind, and half that, which is, let's say it's 12 months. But it still takes me an hour and a half to watch a film. So it takes anybody else an hour and a half to watch a film. As film fans, I think it is important to give back, because you'll spend years putting together a film, casting it, raising the funding for it, shooting it, editing it, scoring it, doing the visual effects, editing it some more, doing some extra scenes, putting it back in, end titles, beginning titles, all that sort. You've put so much effort into making films for us to sit down for an hour and a half to watch a film and go, I like that one, or no, I didn't. And I think it is super important that film fans do give back. Like you said, even $1. We'll spend more than $1 watching a film. We could go to cinema on Saturday night and spend $15, $20 watching a film that is just meh. So to skip a cup of coffee, which is something I always used to say on Kickstarters. It's like, do you know what? Just don't buy a magazine this month. Don't buy a Starbucks coffee. Chuck the donation into your campaign. And, they might not think that $3.50 or $4.50 or $5 or whatever it is, or $10 if you want to do a cinema ticket, makes a massive difference. And it does. To the person giving it, they're like, well, $10 down, it's fine. I've skipped a movie. I'll just watch Netflix instead. But if enough people do it, then that makes a massive difference to you, to Tracy, and to people who are affected by these, Mother Nature crazy events that have just caused so much devastation. I think the death toll currently is 50, I believe it was this morning, with hundreds of people missing. I'm hoping a lot of those people missing are in fact in shelters and just haven't, announced where they are or something. But realistically, a lot of them will add to the death tolls.
You don't get into the shelter without registering your name, let me tell you.
So that blows my theory on that one. So a lot of these people will be gone.
Well, there are a lot of people. There's a lot of canyons in Malibu and a lot of people in the canyons, in a lot of houses. So I guarantee that there's people, who passed away in all these little spots, because every now and again you'd be shooting. I knew the canyons well. I knew Malibu really well. And I've flown over it and it's like, oh, there's a house there and there's a house there. There's a house here. And oh, wow, there's this dirt road to this house that you never knew was there. I mean, there was thousands of people buried in the hills of the Santa Monica Mountains of Malibu, believe me, there's going to be a lot. I hate to say it, because when you've got a little shitty dirt road to get in and out filled with trees and you got a fire on that road, that's it. You're done for. So I hate to say it, there's going to be people, and I'm just truly sad about that, because those are the people that were really interesting to talk to, because they were the people who'd been around Malibu their families have been, great grandparents have been in Malibu's, and so they had a lot to talk about, and yeah, that's the people I enjoy being around, to be honest with you, the salt of the earth, as they say.
But I was told, we spoke yesterday about having a conversation. I didn't even want to sort of call it a podcast, because even though this will be one and it will go out as an episode, there's no theme song attached to it. There's no funky jingle with all these filmmakers going, hi, I'm such and such, because it doesn't feel like a movie podcast, because it's not. And I knew that having a chat with yourself, who is there, who has been affected by the Woolsey fire and who still is, it would be very interesting, and it is, and it has been, but it's also real, which is not something I generally podcast about. Yourself, we usually chat about movies and Star Wars and all the the fun geeky things and stuff. And this is the first real serious sort of conversation I've had that will go out on this podcast feed. So,
I was going to say, if anything, if any music was valid for this, it would be the theme for MASH, because you think about that, such a sad piece of music, yet it's that's where the fires were,
Well, I won't put a beginning bit of music, but I will. That is good. Yeah, I will put out the MASH theme at the end of it, because it is.
Yeah, it would set the tone. It is fitting. And that upset me the most, because that was close by and I visited that place. I took my sister there, when she came to visit, it's like, let's go. Another friend of mine from school I took there. I always take people to the MASH site, because it was special, it was supposed to be Korea, of course, Korea, the country, South Korea, but it wasn't. But it was nice to go there. And as you walk through, okay, this is where Taylor and Brent and the other guy in Planet of the Apes, the three astronauts, this is where they swam before they had their clothing stolen. And this spot here is where Battle for the Planet of the Apes took place. This is the tree that Caesar's son climbed up, and fell out of the tree in Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And this spot here is exactly when Steve Austin met Bigfoot for the first time, who, by the way, Bigfoot was Andre the Giant.
Was he really?
And this, yeah, that was Andre the Giant. And over here is this is where they shot Logan's Run, the TV series, in this region here. And then there's, what else was there? There's you just touch something and it's gold. It's history, and it's movie history, but it's still history. And, the Planet of the Apes thing is pretty bad. Every episode of the Planet of the Apes TV series was in the same place.
Yeah.
Seriously. And this is the same spot that's gone up. So it's and then, this is where MASH took place. This is where the years of all those episodes of MASH were filmed on the outside. The helicopters you see flying through those mountains. I see those mountains all the time. These places.
I'm sort of sitting now and I'm remembering the footage that you shot, and once the fire damage has all been cleared and Mother Nature has taken away the burnt ashes and stuff, those mountains will still be there and the ground will still be there. But my brain is just it's fixated on the Jeep that you shot a bit of footage on. You think that's gone. That Jeep that
That's
has
gone.
been there since the 70s and early 80s has gone forever.
And the sign.
Yes,
and the sign, that little call sign, that's gone. So the fire does it's purification, so whatever. But I don't know. It's just one of those things in life, and it's you're happy, you got family, the animals are safe, family's okay. Some people lost loved ones, and that's really what counts. We can mourn forever the loss of this and that, and the physical stuff. But as long as you've got family, and every episode of MASH you can watch, it's preserved forever. So that's one thing. I'd say one thing that I don't know if I can mention this. Tracy was were talking. She said, "Oh no, I just realized she did a movie called I Might Even Love You, which is a movie she did in the late 90s. It was all shot 35mm film.
Yeah.
So it's real film. Those masters were stored at the underground inside the house, and it's like, oh no, she's lost those. The film masters are gone of that film. They burn up, and that's terrible. That's a great movie, directed by David Worth, and shot, it's a proper movie. It's that's gone.
Does the film exists on format out there in the world, though, be it DVD or VHS or Blu-ray or?
I know it's on DVD. I believe it's on DVD and VHS. But I don't know. Yeah, of course it is, and there's probably videotape masters somewhere as well. But yeah, it's the original masters, the original negatives are gone. That's sad. It's funny because it's some things you just don't replace, and that's one of them. So.
And things like that, things like that come back to you as well, don't they? I've had instances like that where I've moved house or something's got lost, and it's not until 6 months or a year after when I go, oh, I'm going to look for that thing. Oh, it's not there anymore. It must have gone. And it's not a case of now you could write down a list of everything you've lost. You're not going to realize what you've lost for months and years until you go for that thing, or a memory pops into your head and you go, oh yeah, I had that somewhere. No, I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's grim.
Yeah, but I mean, look. In all honesty, we are talking about stuff, and human life is way more valuable, and there's that's the people who lost stuff. I mean, lost family. That's really sad. That really should be the point of all of this. Ultimately, it's okay. You've got your health and you're alive. Though your lungs may be a little more damaged, but you came out alive, and that's worth celebrating. A lot of people did lose family, and or pets and animals. There was a giraffe up the street that I don't know what happened to that. I really hope he made it out. I know it's a strange statement, but there was a giraffe that somebody had. I mean, God, I hope he's okay. It's just those things you just don't know.
But it was I saw the video that Tracy had put out, and I don't know when it was shot, but it was several days ago that she'd put out, and she was standing at the wreckage of what was once the house, and she said that I'm sort of paraphrasing, but she was like, "Thank God nobody was home. Thank God nobody was hurt. Yeah. Thankfully the neighbours are okay," and that is sort of mirrored by the director of Doctor Strange, whose house was gone. And he said, luckily, my neighbours' houses weren't destroyed. It was just mine. And you think, do you know what? That's the sort of attitude that gets you through things, I would have thought, rather than I'm sure there is a lot of anger going, my house is gone, I'm not happy with it whatsoever. But the fact that Tracy's thought and Scott's thought, and, other people do, they got, I'm glad nobody was injured.
Yeah. And that's kind of how you think. And, it's funny, we're as upset as, Tracy was about her house, and I was upset. We looked across to the other neighbor, this guy, we didn't know too well, but it's this lawyer guy with, with his two twin daughters who are actually on television stars. And his house there was not even a piece of foundation standing. And we just said, "Oh fuck, you poor bastard, you know." And you're not even. So Tracy actually called them up and said, "Dude, I've got to tell you, you know, it's gone." And then we sent them photos, and they said thank you because nobody would tell us. Yeah. Nobody, everyone's too afraid to say anything. Thank you for giving us some closure. You know, it's like wow, you know. So you know that's you just feel terrible for those around you, and we are very thankful that nobody in the community where Tracy lives, as far as we know, is dead. Because that's what happens. You get numb to your own pain, and you look at everyone else and say, "Oh, you poor person, you know." And that's just how it is. So it's just the nature of the things. You know, you don't suddenly stop caring about your own stuff. You say, "Okay, it's gone. I let it go immediately." But then you look at other people's loss and you go, "Oh God." It's just one of those things. I think that's a testament to Tracy's character too. She's one of those people, you know. She says, "Oh well, you know, it's what it is." But as I said, I know deep down, she ain't doing so good.
No, but she's got people around her. She's got you, and you've got people around you, and you know,
yeah.
It sounds like the sort of support network with regards to friends is in place. What is the support like from the? I mean, we call them councils over here, but the sort of not necessarily the government. What's the smaller one than that? Generally, the state or whatever. Is it good or is it not good?
Well, I know the Red Cross have been amazing. The rest of the government, I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. I actually have no opinion. Because I'm not experienced in if the government will help or not. I assume they would, because you know California is a very loud state in the sense of all the media. I mean, you give you an idea that you know half the street are Fox News people or famous television people or TV hosts or you know what I mean. That there's all you wouldn't dare do anything wrong. Because you know the media would turn against people very quickly, and the media carry the voice of the people sometimes, not always. So I think there would be I'm pretty sure the government will do the right thing. But right now, as I said, it's the Red Cross have been pretty much the fire brigade, and and the sheriff's department. And the nice thing I like, right now there's boats of people. There's street gangs, and I don't know what nationality they are, but there's street gangs, I'm assuming from East LA, getting in boats, going up the ocean, getting out of the boats on Malibu Beach, and then going up into the houses and looting the houses. And they're climbing over mountains, getting their way into Malibu and looting all the houses. And they are bringing police in from Utah to stop the looting. It's that bad. It's seriously that messed up. There is an avalanche of looters. I believe there's 300 police patrolling right now, just stopping the looters from getting in. And they're arresting people left, right, and center.
Oh, so they should. Yeah. Because it's, the police, in an ideal world, the police should be helping those who need help, and they should be helping the firemen, and everybody should be working together. Ambulance, firemen, police, be helping out people. Not chasing street gangs who are trying to go into a house that's been damaged, or worse, trying to steal a television. Or it's like, really, just knock it off. Horrible street gangs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's how bad it is. It's looters. I mean, we caught a guy, the other night, around Agora Hills. He was just creeping around the television shop, where they sell TVs. And it's like, really, dude? What are you walking in the middle of nowhere for, looking inside the TV? I mean, we're talking in the middle. It was weird. And that's what people are like. So there's the police. I mean, I saw rows upon rows of police cars driving up Canaan Road into Malibu because of they needed reinforcements. It's become a war zone. Yeah. And it's not over, it's not over yet. So
no, I hope it does. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? The fires are still going on. So we're sort of having a conversation I mean, you guys are safe, so that is great. But the fires are still raging. There's still many weeks of it to go, and it's not over, is it? It's
No, it's not. The safest place to be in a fire is a place where it's already burnt, because it can't burn there again. And I'm probably about 100 meters or maybe 300 feet from a giant burnt mountain. The whole mountain went up in flame, and I'm really close to that, and I feel actually quite safe right now because it's one of the best places to be. It's amazing. Well, I've walked up there a few times actually looking for animals that need rescuing, and there's nothing. I saw one coyote, but I tried to get him water, but he was just too scared. And apart from that, there was nothing. It's a wasteland. Yes, I've taken photos and dropped footage there because I have nothing else to do, but it's a wasteland.
Well, I think I'd be the same. I think it would, because you are a filmmaker and you make science fiction films, but at the moment in time, you're a documentarian, aren't you? You're capturing footage. And I've seen a lot of it. I mean, I don't know whether you sort of giggled there. You may not class yourself as that, but I've seen a lot of the footage. I saw some of the videos before the major fires with all the clouds of smoke and stuff, and you have been documenting it.
I have massive amounts of footage to it.
And it's the footage is amazing, but it's also because it's real, it's scary as hell, but it's fascinating to look at, but it's also petrifying. So it's here we are in the UK. If we get more than 2 inches of snow, we freak out. We can't cope. We've never had anything on a scale of what California's getting. So I don't know how the UK would cope. I get the impression we wouldn't cope as well as you guys in the US at the minute, but who knows? And to be honest, I hope we never find out.
I'm going to turn my video on for a sec. Hang on. See if you can see me. It's terrible for podcast people. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. You look like Minecraft.
See this mask?
Yes.
This is what you have to have with you the whole time. This mask.
Oh, one of the little white breathing masks, just for those who can't see the video. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have it on, and here's my injured arm. Yeah, but it's okay. You got to have a mask on the whole time. I'll kill that now because it's you can't breathe without it. It's pretty bad. Again, Red Cross are kind enough to give us some breathing masks, and these things are amazing. Well, let me tell you, truly saving your lungs from damage.
So is it a case of when you're outside, if you don't have the mask on, you will be coughing within a few seconds? That sort of, it is that bad? Or
in places. It's weird because when I went to my storage place to see what I had left of my belongings, that was all covered in ash. And I got really coffee sick going in there. But it depends on where you are. The wind was really strong, so it blew out. It's cleaned the air up nicely in some parts, and other parts it's terrible. So it goes in pockets. But when the wind hits, all the black charred soot from the hills right behind here go around, and you can see the stuff in the air, particulate matter. It's everywhere. So you shouldn't be breathing, let's just say, without one of these outside. You keep all the windows closed in the meantime. It's kind of like one of those Twilight Zone episodes where, this is I don't know what to compare it to, but it's like living a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yeah.
So.
And watching the footage, for me, it's like watching a post-apocalyptic movie. I mean, I watched the film The Road the other week with Annette, and that doesn't look as scary as watching the footage that I've seen on the news and on social media, and the shot of the woman going through the tunnel praying.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane stuff.
Well, as I said, I've got photos of that. Literally, I was filming when she on the other side. And when you can see the whole fire just going over the tunnel, and it's like, and she literally drove out of it 5 minutes later. It's like, oh my God, how did she get through that? Yeah. And she kind of driving down, waving her arms. It's kind of weird,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that would become a viral video, but
yeah, pretty much.
things.
We're sitting here in just north of Manchester, and that thing's playing on the news quite often, so it's definitely gone viral.
Yeah, I know. As I said, I got footage on the other. You can see it. I've got the wide shot of that. Let's just say.
Yep. Get all your footage on YouTube.
So,
get it monetized, or sell it to a news network or something. Get that.
I'm trying. I need the money. My daughter's a journalist, so she's trying. So we're trying to figure that out right now.
But I mean, I'm glad you guys are okay, though. Genuinely, I was worried, and especially for you, because I thought, you know what, he's going to run into the middle of it with his camera, and film some stuff. So it's like, don't do that.
And I did.
Yes, but you're okay though, so I'll lay off.
Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Well, the trick is you follow the police and the firemen because they know what to do. Yep. So, that's the thing. And yeah, it's one of those things. So anyway,
what have you got planned for the rest of your day then? It's pushing on to about 11 o'clock at night here, so it's.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Nice. Don't worry about it. It's been a nice long day for me, but I've spent most of it sitting behind a desk typing emails. It does not compare to your day.
Well, I've got my iPad with me, so I'm going to sit down and watch Black Mirror, which is great. I've just started watching it. It's great.
Oh yeah, I'm into season 4 on that. So yeah, it's very good.
It's wonderful, and it's a great show. I'm truly enjoying that. I've been watching Doctor Who as well, which I've been thoroughly enjoying. Really enjoying that a lot. And she's great. Schitt's Creek is another one. It's a comedy thing. It's nice to get your mind off things. It's an American comedy about wealthy people who no longer have money and are forced to live in a hotel. Which isn't me because I wasn't wealthy to start with. But
no, you're not in a hotel. But no, yeah. But other than that,
I will. Well, I'm hoping to find a hotel soon to stay in because I'm going to get out of town to get some fresh air. And so trying to get Tracy to come along because she needs. She's really doing it rough. And it's all I can say is people attacking her online. Oh, you're just some wealthy Malibu person. She's really doing it rough, and she ain't wealthy, and she's lost everything. So she's got a campaign, a GoFundMe campaign, and that's yeah, and that that's really more important than my silly little I've lost my red camera campaign. But it's all appreciated anyway it goes. So,
but that's the thing. I mean, some people, I'll help Tracy out, or I'll help Neil out. So it's a case of you're both helping each other out. So if somebody donates to one and not the other, or vice versa, then you're both there for each other. So it will benefit the pair of you, won't it? Whichever campaign people.
I would say go to Tracy Birtle's GoFundMe. I think that's the more important one. I'm kind of secondary. I just did it because it was there, and I kind of feel bad about it, but. To be honest, but I really need the money, so I don't know what to do. But Tracy's one's really the thing, the GoFundMe, Tracy Birdsall, Tracy with an E. And that's about it. God bless America.
Oh, God bless the fact that you're both okay.
Exactly.
Probably. Not God bless Mother Nature. She ain't getting one because she's cruel. So not necessarily, well, not cruel, but very powerful, and nobody's going to ever, put one over a Mother Nature. Really, she can be vicious when she needs to be.
Yeah, but also, Mother Nature also targeted the churches as well, and there's a few churches that burned up as well. So there's no.
They'll be in a dilemma now, going, maybe we need to rethink our beliefs.
Exactly.
So our church is gone, so it's.
Yeah, obviously they chose the wrong God.
They did pick the wrong one. They may want to reevaluate, but and I think also you've got to try and find a little bit. I mean, you've sort of giggled and smirked a few times in this conversation. I think you've got to do that. I think if you sit down and don't see the maybe a lighter side or a slightly humorous side now and again, I think you would go nuts and you just end up curling up in a corner, I think.
Yeah. So the best thing I've enjoyed is getting out and looking at it all and going and see what the police are doing, or go climbing a mountain and having a good view and taking photos. It helps. It helps a lot. So, you know.
And if I had the ability to fly you and Tracy over here, you could crash in this spare room that you kept out last time. But you know, the amount of money it would cost for you to get the flights would kind of defeat the whole object, I think. But
exactly.
If you were closer, you would be more than welcome here.
I'd appreciate that. Yeah, we both need a holiday one day.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
I shall let you go now, Neil. I'm going to get this. I'm going to look for the MASH theme song, which I know where to get it from. Put it in the end, and people can not necessarily enjoy this this special episode, but definitely find it interesting. And if you want to spare a few dollars, quids, yen, rubles, magic beans, or whatever, then put it into the GoFundMe campaign. I will share the links in this. In the Geek House Facebook group is probably the best place to go, or just hit me up on Twitter and I'll pass the links on to anybody who's listening. So,
I truly appreciate that. Thank you, Stuart.
All right, Neil. Glad you're all okay, and I will chat to you soon.
Sounds good. All right.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.